Hello everyone, how is it going today? I'm going to discuss about DC emotional spectrum entities. So if you didn't already know about the entities, they are creatures that embodiment each emotion of the emotional spectrum. So by the end of this video you will know everything you need to know of the entities of the emotional spectrum. So before we go into the video, don't forget to subscribe and enable the bell icon to get notification when a new video is out. So let's go. The Butcher is a creature of the emotional spectrum and serves as the embodiment of the power of rage, which is the color red in that energy field. It was formed after the life entity entered into the universe and manifested on the planet Earth, where it influenced the worlds in order to bring about the rise of sentient life. As it did so, numerous embodiments of the emotional spectrum formed, with the rage entity being the fifth to be born. It was created after the first act of murder was made, which led to its formation. At some point in the past, the rage entity is rage incarnate with all of rage's power at its disposal. The Parallax entity is a demonic-looking parasitic cosmic entity that is the sentient embodiment of fear in the emotional spectrum. Its creation came at the dawn of existence when the life entity entered into the universe and sheltered itself on the planet Earth. The subtle influences of the entity brought about the formation of living beings, which in turn formed the emotional electromagnetic spectrum. Parallax was shown to be the second embodiment of emotion that was formed when living beings began to fear for their existence. Parallax has immense fear-casting powers, strong enough to easily scare the likes of Superman and Wonder Woman, even those who are capable of understanding and conquering inner fear. Parallax has immense mind control powers. It can take possession of someone's body when they feel even the slightest fear. Parallax, as the embodiment of fear, is capable of generating and manipulating vast amounts of energy. Parallax is capable of all the powers of accordion power ring. Parallax is also capable of creating solid energy construct. Ion is the entity of will, the sentient willpower that powers the Green Lantern core. Usually living inside the central power battery, it can survive outside it in a symbiotic relationship with a host, once thought to be merely an honorary title in the Green Lantern Corps. Ion is in fact the symbiotic willpower entity birthed from the green of the emotional spectrum. Its existence was kept a secret from the Green Lantern Corps since their inception, and it resided in the central power battery to keep Parallax in check. Only after the destruction of the central power battery were both Ion and Parallax set free. Ion wandered the cosmos for a time. Unlike Parallax, Ion does not influence the user's actions. Ion has infinite or omnipotent willpower casting powers and abilities. It can make a connection with someone who has incredible willpower or is strong in their beliefs. Ability to control time and the ability to control reality. As the embodiment of willpower, Ion can control or manipulate and generate green willpower energy. All power is similar to a Green Lantern Corps power ring and the Starheart. As an entity based upon an emotional concept, Ion is unending. Exists forever. Ophidian, also known as Ophidian the Tempter, is the physical embodiment of the emotional concept of avarice. This cosmic being was born following the entry of the life entity into the universe on Earth, which sparked the creation of living beings as well as the birth of the emotional spectrum. As sentient beings emerged, the greed entity became the fourth to be formed when a creature began to desire something, thus sparking the existence of avarice. Ophidian used to reside in the Orange Lantern's central power battery and spoke only to its wielder, enticing them to covet the battery more than anything else. Ophidian is greed incarnate, with all of avarice's power at its disposal. Proselyte was formed after the life entity entered into the universe, with that act bringing about the creation of sentient life throughout the barren cosmos. After interning itself on Earth, the various life forms generated by the entity led to the birth of the emotional spectrum. One of the last emotions to be formed was compassion, which in turn led to the creation of Proselyte, who serves as the emotional embodiment of compassion in the emotional electromagnetic spectrum. Proselyte is compassion incarnate, with all of compassion's power at its disposal. Unlike the Indigo tribe members, Proselyte can utilize multiple spectrum wavelengths simultaneously. The Adara entity is the embodiment of hope of the emotional spectrum and thus represented the combined feeling of hope felt by the sentient of the cosmos. It was born when the entity entered into the early universe and settled on the planet Earth, which sparked the creation of life among countless worlds. The Adara entity was one of the last entities to be created of the emotional spectrum and is similar to its counterparts, namely the Ion, Parallax, Predator, Ophidian, Butcher and Proselyte entities. However, following its emergence, its existence was seemingly forgotten by the cosmos and it remained hidden until later years. Adara is hope incarnate, with all of hope's power at its disposal. While its exact limits are unknown, it can be assumed that its power levels are comparable to Ion and Parallax, which would give it virtually limitless energy. The Predator is the sentient embodiment of all of the love in the universe and was most likely born at the beginning of sentience, similar to the Ion entity and Parallax. Its creation came at the beginning of time when the universe was devoid of sentient life, until the arrival of the life entity. After entering into Earth and bringing about the rise of living beings, the emotional entities were formed, with each developing as its respective emotion was felt. Love was the third field of energy that was born in the emotional spectrum and signaled the rise of the Predator entity. The life entity, also known as the entity and as the white entity, was a living sentient entity that was formed at the beginning of the universe and is the embodiment of life. It is not known whether the entity was brought into the universe either by accident or by design. This entity's existence came on the planet Earth, which became the source of all life. After arriving on the barren world, it sealed itself beneath the magma of the world in order to hide where its entry into the universe began to affect the cosmos around it. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe and enable the bell icon to get notification when a new video is out, and feel free yourself to like, share, comment,